My name's Joan Woodard, and I'm the hearing examiner this evening. The purpose of this hearing is to allow me to receive evidence and testimony on the matters that are pending. I make a recommendation only to the county commissioners. I do not make the final decision. I will be submitting my recommendation to staff within 2 weeks of this evening's hearing. The application will then be scheduled for deliberations before the county commissioners. If you wish to give testimony, I need you to fill out one of the sheets in the back, and when you come to the podium, please give your name and address for the record before you begin your testimony. First, staff will introduce the application, then we will hear from the applicant. After the applicant's testimony, we will then get into the public comment sheets. We will hear from those who are in favor, those who are neutral, and then those who are opposed. The public not speaking will be read into the record. We will then give the applicant and/or their representative an opportunity for rebuttal of any testimony stated into the record from the public before we close the public hearing. After that point, we will receive no more testimony. The time limits are 30 minutes for the applicant's presentation, 5 minutes for public testimony, and 15 minutes for applicant rebuttal. I would ask that you direct all of your testimony to me and not to the audience. Are there any questions regarding these proceedings this evening? Not seeing any, we will begin. Our case is number MSP 21-0005.
Good evening. For the record, Vlad Finkel with Kootenai County Community Development. This is a request for a major subdivision with the name of the estates at Farragut. I'm sorry, we're having some technical difficulties again. Just a minute.
There you go.
Sorry about that. The subject property consists of approximately 156.5 acres. It's located in the northeast corner of Kootenai County, just east of city of Athol and west of Bayview. As you can see, it's located at the intersection of Perimeter Road and Howard Road. Howard Road was recently constructed to provide access to the subject parcel of land and the recently approved major subdivision with the name of, I believe, Walking Horse Estates First Edition. As you can see, the site is fairly level. It has very limited slope, and it's heavily vegetated. As part of the requirement for final review, the applicant will be required to submit a wildfire mitigation plan approved by a forester or a fire district to address any of the concerns that may arise with a potential of a fire. The current zoning is rural with a density of 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres. The proposal consists of 27 lots with lots that range between 4.5 and 5 acres in size, but the bare minimum requirement is 4.5 acres net with 5 acres gross, accounting for half of the adjacent right-of-way width. The comp plan designation is suburban, which does facilitate for subdivisions like the one that's being proposed. This is the proposed layout of the subdivision. The applicant wants to have 2 access points off of Howard Road with a shoehorn, with a internal road that will provide access to all 27 lots. There may be some lots that will have a shared access approach due to spacing requirements and limited frontage for the internal road. Each lot will be served with individual wells and individual septic systems. The applicant did submit a groundwater quantity report prepared by a geologist that states that they can meet the minimum requirements of 5 gallons per minute for a period of 4 hours and a minimum of 1,500 gallons per day flow. These are some of the photos of the property in question. The photo on the right upper portion of the slide shows Perimeter Road, and the two lower photos show the Howard Road under construction. It has been constructed as of last fall. These are some outdated photos, but there is clearly a public access to the proposed subdivision. During the agency comment period, we solicited comments from the agencies listed on the slide. Most of the comments were pretty standard. One of the comments that you may have been, this may have been brought up to you in the past, is with regard to Lakeland School District. They are concerned over the current growth in the area, and they are recommending that there be some sort of impact fees imposed. However, as I have stated in previous applications, there is currently no mechanism, no legal mechanism to require impact fees to support schools in the area based on growth. The remaining comments just have basic requirements from agencies. The subject request is adjacent to Farragut State Park. In addition to Idaho Department of Fish and Game, we solicited comments from Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation, and they had no comment. The property is located approximately a little less than a mile from a public shooting range within the park. We did have some concerns potentially from, having maybe some conditions of approval as it relates to a shooting range, but we didn't receive any, so doesn't appear to be an issue. The applicant will have to construct the interior road to the Associated Highway District standards. I believe it will be dedicated to the Highway District, and the applicant will have to submit CCNRs for the maintenance of any shared common driveway approaches serving interior lots, as well as a wildfire mitigation plan and wildlife friendly language that was submitted by Fish and Game. I believe everything else is pretty straightforward with regard to individual wells and septic systems having to be approved by Health District. During the public comment period, we received 2 comments in opposition of the request. One comment did not have any written explanation as to their opposition, and the other comment had some concerns with regard to the additional density that's being proposed. They're not in favor of 5-acre parcels. They do cite some concerns over noise and impacts to wildlife. And I believe we received one late comment that was in support, but it came in after the deadline for public comments. We believe that this development is consistent and compatible with the surrounding development that has occurred over the past several years. In fact, there were at least 2 major subdivisions that were approved to the west and south of Howard Road, as well as a number of minor subdivisions that have recently been approved or are going through the review process. We don't believe that this application will be any different than the ongoing pattern of 5-acre parcels in the immediate area, and therefore we don't find there being a compatibility issue at this time. We believe that the applicant should be approved and that they must comply with the agency comments in terms of infrastructure improvements for mitigation purposes, and that they should construct shared infrastructure improvements prior to final plat approval or submit a completion bond for those improvements if they want to move forward with a final plat application if this preliminary review is approved. I stand for any questions that you have at this time.
Nothing for you right now, Vlad. Thank you.
Leave that.
Now we'll hear from the applicant. We have Scott MacArthur.
Good evening, Scott MacArthur, MacArthur Engineering, P.O. Box 2488, Post Falls, Idaho 83877. Thank you, Madam Hearing Examiner. Just here tonight to, it's kind of always difficult to follow staff when they give out everything you need to talk about. So we'll just kind of elaborate on what Vlad had to say tonight. This has been a process to get to where we are here. One of the biggest issues that Lakes Highway District's had over the years, the Howard Road didn't connect to Perimeter Road. The right-of-way existed, but the connection wasn't there. So my clients stepped up to work with the developer of the adjacent development that just took place to complete the construction of that last mile that brought a connection to Perimeter Road. So everybody's sleeping much better now. So with that approval from Lakes Highway District, we did receive, I don't want to mess this up, 4 access points, 2 over here on this side to the west of this development, and 2 approved approaches here and here for this 27 lot development. Those were approved with the Howard Road improvement plans. They weren't constructed yet. They will be constructed as part of the improvement plans for this, but have been approved. So we worked with Lakes Highway District on several things. One of the biggest issues we have with the Highway District roads is they're very confined, and you don't have room for people to walk. They're walking their horses on the road, and they're walking on the road. So my client said, hey, let's dedicate the right-of-way we need across our entire frontage to provide a multimodal trail. It's a natural trail. It's a dirt trail, but it is there for horses and pedestrians to walk on. So that is an improvement. You know, it was additional land that was dedicated for that benefit for the public. And speaking of access, one of the other avenues that I think is kind of, you always look for how your development sets it apart. My clients are dedicating a 30-foot pedestrian natural trail access easement around the entire development through all the parcels. So there'll be a 30-foot easement that's attributed to the rear of all the lots to provide people with, you know, natural walking trails and general access. It'll be primarily for the people within this development, but it's beautiful. Take advantage of that generally undeveloped portion of the property. Regarding shared access, we've worked with Lakes Highway District on this road. This road originally was going to be a private road constructed within a 60-foot easement. Then that grew to an 80-foot easement. And my clients and I sat down with Lakes Highway District and we said, okay, what's going to be best? And they said, we'd like you to add some curvilinear lines to the development to not make it such a thoroughfare for traffic, reduce speeds, and we'd like you to dedicate the right-of-way. So instead of the 80-foot easement, we're doing the 60-foot right-of-way dedication, 2 10-foot exclusive easements for utilities to Lakes Highway District as required by their standards. With that, each lot, generally speaking, with the exception of 4 lots, there's no problem with the access management standards for Lakes Highway District. The corner lots here, which is generally a problem, they require a shared approach. And so those 2 shared approaches, Vlad mentioned, will be governed under the CC&Rs as far as maintenance and access. That'll be tied specifically, you know, through language to those parcels. And other than that, we'll just work out the private driveways as each lot develops. So the next item, as Vlad mentioned, water. Each lot will be served with a well. And we are working with Idaho Department of Water Resources to maybe do some shared wells. We're looking into that just as far as how that goes. That's governed by their comments in the letter. There's the option. If we drill individual wells for each lot, our geoscience specialist said, hey, we have no problem with that. There's plenty of water in this area, and the well rights show there's 20 to 30 gallons per minute out of each or each well in that area. Those are 6-inch wells, so you could drill larger wells and get more water if you needed to. But that is the intent for that. Again, individual septics, as approved by PhD. PhD does not require test holes, but as you can look through the research that we provided, this is a very porous piece of ground, and so there's no problem with septics. There's no unsuitable materials that we've come across at this time, so we have no concern there. A couple of months ago, I made a statement at a public hearing regarding a conversation I had with the Lakeland School District and how we worked out that in the state of Idaho, Lakeland, the developments no longer provide impact fees to school districts. So we made an agreement through that development, and I've talked to my clients about opening up that door to have that conversation with the school district. So we're just here tonight to say we will have that conversation with the school district. We know that growth does impact their schools that are already overpopulated, and while one development can't fix that, we'll see what we can do to help. Wildfire mitigation plan, again, we have no objection to that. We are working with specialists to get that taken care of. And we will get it approved by both a specialist and run it by the fire department as well, Timberlake Fire. With that being said, like I said, I think Vlad covered everything that I had planned for, so I don't want to repeat myself or repeat Vlad. Do you have any questions?
So as you said, it initially was planned to be a private road with gated
Initially.
access, so,
That is complete. Yeah, we dropped that some time ago, and you know that's the problem. You introduce initial thoughts and then it changes, and sometimes those carry on. So there is no gated access. This is a public road. It'll be dedicated to Lakes Highway. It'll be built identical to what Howard Road was built as, yeah, the Highway District's super excited about that. So.
and how are you going to handle mail?
Man, so at the entryway, and we submitted a set of plans, but on both sides of the entry here, in front of this lot, as you come in off the road, we've got two pullouts, and so there'll be enough room for, we'll pick the side with the postal carrier. They were kind of hesitant to make a comment at this time, but we'll pick a side for that mailbox. We'll have cluster mailboxes at those two locations, both entries.
Okay. Garbage, how does that get handled?
Again, sanitation department will issue trash receptacles, individual trash receptacles that they'll be allowed to the road. Public
Okay.
right there.
And you say you're going to have a conversation with the school district,
Yeah,
is
I'll reach out
that?
to the superintendent and their finance department, open up the same discussion I had with them earlier about contribution of some sort for this development.
Like a per
It is
lot
it's a
kind of
very
thing?
low density development, so you're looking at the contribution is not much, and a lot of times what works in their favor. How is it going to work in their favor? And so we'll just have a conversation with them and see what we can do.
Okay, I think that answers all my questions right
Thank
now.
you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Austin Hearn, you're applicant representative and also may wish to speak? No? Okay. Jeremy Voller is in favor, does not wish to speak? Okay. And Jim Morrow is opposed and does not wish to speak? And who do we have on Zoom?
It looks like we've got four members of the public. I'll just start with the first one, Gabriel Hearn. If you'd like to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I don't need to speak. I'll go ahead and mute it out.
If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and state your name and your address if you'd like to speak. I guess he muted himself again, so I imagine that means he doesn't wish to say.
Okay.
Speak. Next we have Lissa's iPhone. If you wish to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Lisa Kopke, I live in Coeur d'Alene. I'm a realtor. I am for the development.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, this is Gabriel Hearn. I couldn't get my mute done. I'm for the development.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Stacy Britton. If you wish to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm just across the road. I've been impacted by Howard Road, so I'm not opposed. I'm just interested. I know Austin. We've talked a number of times. I'm just interested to learn what's happening.
Okay, thank you.
And then, let's see, lastly, we've got Stuart, Mara, Tom, Robin. If you would like to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself and state your name and your address, please. They've unmuted themselves, but we're not able to hear you. I'm sorry, Stuart, Mara, Tom, Robin, we cannot hear you. So if you do have a comment, I also have an option to chat. If you want to submit a written comment, we can go ahead and accept that as well.
There is a comment on chat. There's a comment on chat.
I don't see that.
Down the bottom.
Doesn't. I mean, I see the one comment here is from Alyssa Cock,
Oh,
Realtor for Development. That's the one. I'm not picking up anything from the last participant here, so I suppose unless, again, you can send me a chat individual comment, then I can go ahead and move on, I suppose.
okay. Then that will conclude our public testimony then, unless something comes in momentarily. Vlad, do you have anything more you'd like to add?
I do not at this time.
Relative to the change in the applicants working with the highway district, I think we probably need to reword some of the conditions that are in the case file. Yeah.
Which specifically ones? Because are you questioning them going from private to public roads? Is that the concern?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not concerned about it. I just want to make sure our conditions reflect what they are doing.
Is there anything specifically that needs to be amended to be consistent with the proposed change? I thought that we
No.
modified the proposal in the staff report to state that it was public roads.
Maybe you had one come after, but the one I have still says that they propose a private gated subdivision.
Which section are you in?
7.05.
That's a language from the highway district. So
Right.
while the proposal has changed, I don't believe we can modify the language submitted by the highway district. I think this concern or this discrepancy will be addressed by the applicant submitting a final plat and showing evidence of compliance with the highway district requirements, where they submit construction plans as well as estimated improvements and bonding that's necessary. Is that perhaps maybe the engineer of record could clarify, but we typically don't change the language by the agency, and I know that the highway districts are so busy that they don't have the time to comment again. So we just pass the language, and I would say that the remaining items 2 through 8 address improvements and requirement for road development agreement, as well as the signature block for the highway district on the face of plat. So I believe that the first item from the highway district is really a non-issue because the physical improvements on the property will be in compliance with the highway district requirements.
Do you want to clarify too?
Again, Scott MacArthur Engineering. In a follow-up email, also under 1.18, it just talks about how Eric Shanley quickly addressed by email that we've met all their conditions and he has no objection to the proposed plat as shown. So we worked with him for
Yeah.
to satisfy the conditions. So we're happy to remove the gated community portion of it and turn the road from private to public and construct it to the same standards, essentially.
I think maybe I'll just handle it with a summary statement.
Oh, yeah, just to follow, yeah.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, I think referencing that section 1.18 might, Vlad and I have worked with the highway district trying to get a response for some time, and they are very busy, so.
Yeah, I just don't want you to get
Further along, yes. Yeah.
right and then have somebody go, but wait,
Oh, yeah.
there's
Yeah.
more.
We were talking about that very same thing, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Ms. Hearing Examiner, just to clarify, I believe that item number 1 is not item number 1 under section 705 is not necessarily a condition of requiring some aspect of improvements. It's merely an assessment of proposal and existing conditions in the area. So I think with your permission and with the applicant's permission, we could probably strike that first statement because it doesn't direct the applicant to do something. It's just merely an assessment of the existing conditions in the area. So I think we could just move strike item number 1 under 705 and then move everything up 2 to 1 and then the rest in the same manner. So instead of having 8 points, you would have 7 points with 1 being deleted. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, although I don't know, I think maybe a statement that's a subsequent to kind of any agreement reached by the highway district and the applicant that makes both happy. Wrong language, but
Or perhaps in your analysis, you could state based on the proposed change by the applicant to dedicate the road to the public versus being privately maintained, item number 1 under condition 705 is no longer valid.
yeah, because I really don't like to modify, but
And I can't either. We
Yeah.
can't modify the highway district comments either. That
Yeah.
would be
okay,
inaccurate statements on behalf of the highway district.
yeah, I got it. Okay. Anything else?
Madam Hearing Examiner, I do have a comment from one of the member of the public.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to maybe read this and if we could give the applicant an opportunity. But it says a walking trail was mentioned. Where is the walking trail access?
Again, Scott MacArthur, MacArthur Engineering. The access will be internal in the development, and the access is meant for the people who live in the development. It's not open to the public. So,
Okay.
the access points will generally come from your lot into the trail area. And it's more of an open space, natural open space to be protected. So,
Okay.
any questions on that?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. Then that concludes our testimony for this evening on case number MSP 21-0005. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry? Yes, it does mean I'm adjourned.